The alleged debate over whether The Last Jedi is the worst film of all time continues tirelessly, and I gotta say, after all these years, I'm still not getting any good reasons The Last Jedi is so bad. But we're gonna give it one last try with, this time, Paladin. I've focused on Mauler and his complete stupidities regarding The Last Jedi, and those are pretty world infamously bad. But we're gonna give him a chance, although unfortunately they kind of converge. But I will say this, Mauler, as usual, comes off a little less stupid than his so-called allies. I also want to forewarn this is going to be a little bit more explicit than I usually do the videos for several reasons. Apparently, this is a woman, perhaps a bisexual. And this is important because the EFAP does this a lot. Whenever they're challenged for their bigotry or their stupidity, they pull the card that, hey, do you know that we have black people? Do you know that we have people on the left? We even have women. We even have gay women on that podcast. And to that I say, that's irrelevant. Why are you bringing that up? And the fact is, you could still be bigots and quote have these people on the podcast. The Republican Party, yes, has black people in it. You can still say it's a white supremacist organization. There's no contradiction saying, how could the white racists work with the black people? And the answer is simple, for the money, for the power. It's not really difficult to understand. But let's keep it civil, and I won't go to her politics, which I can only guess are pretty awful to begin with. And we're going to concentrate on, I'm not even joking, the penis sword.
Carrying on a legacy of something that is so important.
No, it's about family.
So powerful about it.
Is that most people have abandoned a lot of things like religion, but they do hold on to these beliefs in things like media. So of media sort of mythos. And when Luke Skywalker throws away his lightsaber, people who have placed some degree of belief in that mythos are feeling betrayed when they see Luke toss it, over his shoulder.
So after all these years, the final answer as to why The Last Jedi is bad, because Luke did not play with the penis sword the way Paladin wanted. Let's repeat that. Rian Johnson had Luke throw away the penis sword. Now it's one of the worst films of all time. And her reasoning is, listen, Luke, for a whole lot of people meant something. The lightsaber meant a whole lot for a lot of people. And Rian Johnson disrespected us. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Well, I found out you're a little bitch and you're a fucking moron. And apparently you're stuck in a childish state of mind. You haven't provided a reason The Last Jedi is bad. You just provided a reason you idolize Luke and are apparently a pathetic moron. This is a fictional character. I grew up with Care Bears. That doesn't mean I wanted to become a Care Bear. Care Bears is a good fiction. I like it. DuckTales is a good fiction. I like that. Star Wars is a good fiction. I like that. Doesn't mean I want to become a penis-wielding duck or a penis-wielding Care Bear growing up. Why would I? It's a piece of fiction. So you're just being fucking stupid. So, there we are. That wasn't hard to refute. Then Mauler steps in and basically says the same thing, but just adds in also not a reason.
All of your fucking answers don't mean anything to him. That's he doesn't look the same way as you do. He'll just be like, oh, you guys just have trouble with the film trying to give you a different idea.
I know.
Which is what TLJ does. My argument is that it does it horribly bad.
Probably, yeah. I think that's fair.
Funnily enough, I'd like to bolster what Sargon was saying because, in a sense, right, what I want to do is take what Sargon said and make it a bit more digestible. When he says JJ's not an artist, I would rather call JJ a bad artist, but at the same time, I would happily actually categorize the difference to get this across quickly as JJ isn't, while Rian is. Rian, I think, is an artist. He's just an evil really artist. Shit. I don't call him evil for fuck's sake.
No, he is evil.
No, he's evil.
Now the reason The Last Jedi is bad is because we weren't provided enough scenes or an entire movie to explain why Luke is depressed. Well, let's put aside the obvious problem with that. Namely, there are time skips in the original trilogy, so we don't get the entire moments with all the characters mapped out second to second. So preemptively, that's a dumb thing to say because he likes the original trilogy, so he's completely contradicting himself, which he usually does very quickly. But let's try to take him seriously. That makes no sense whatsoever. You've just said Rian Johnson's a bad director. The Last Jedi is a bad film. And your solution is, I need more of The Last Jedi and I need more Rian Johnson. But you said logically Rian Johnson's a bad storyteller and The Last Jedi is a bad film. So logically your solution is I need more of the bad film. That'll make it less of a bad film. That makes no sense. Again, if we think there is a logic to storytelling, but here's the problem. Maybe there is no logic to storytelling. We just have to use very shaky standards and say a fiction is good or bad based on very shaky criteria, but that's all we have. Now, I think, for myself, frankly, Luke is not a good character. Anakin is not a good character. And yes, I'd be forced to admit Rey is not that good a character either, but there's an actual consistency because Luke is radically inconsistent in most of the stories he's in. Anakin is mostly radically inconsistent in the stories he's in. And Rey, I would admit, is not as awful in terms of inconsistency, but yes, sometimes she is somewhat inconsistent in her actions. So to me, a character should be fairly consistent. Darth Maul in the prequels, he's consistent. Chewbacca in the original trilogy, pretty consistent. And Hux and Poe, pretty consistent characters in the Disney sequel trilogy. Therefore, those are good characters. If you just tell me, yeah, but none of them are Jedi, and none of them twirl the lightsaber penis third, I'd be like, who fucking cares? Why does that matter? Why would that ever matter? Who thinks it matters? And that paladin and the little kid, everyone see Luke hit the penis third. And you'd say, yeah, because they're a bunch of fucking morons. You haven't told me why The Last Jedi is a bad film at all. You provided zero reason. You said, I need to see Luke the hero. I need to see Luke and his penis tail. If I don't see that, it's a bad film. No, you just stated your preferences. You didn't give us reasons the story is bad. I'll give a very simple example. Lord of the Rings. Even Lord of the Rings, the film, by the way. Now, I read Lord of the Rings. Does it have Luke? Nope. Does it have Jedi? Nope. Does it have the magical penis sword? No. Is it still a good story? Yes. I'll even have to say, is Lord of the Rings possibly a good story as a film? Yeah, possibly. But hey, where's Luke? Where's Jedi? Where's Luke with the magic penis sword? Who cares? How's that relevant? There's a difference between applying logic outside the fiction. With the fiction, there is no logic. There never has been, there never will be. Some morons can say this all day long. They haven't provided evidence. But nevertheless, we can use logic broadly in terms of, quote, storytelling. Not within the fiction, but perhaps outside of it. So if someone tells you, I hate this fiction because of black people are in it, like Ryan Kinno, you'd say, okay, maybe that's racist, maybe that's bigoted, but here's something else that's irrelevant. That's wholly irrelevant. The Batman having too many good black people and too many bad white people is utterly irrelevant. That's a moral criteria. And you want to be a moralist, that's fine. That's not an aesthetic reason. Likewise, I have a cultural expectation that Jedi should be respected. Their magical penis swords should be respected. Why? They use it to kill people. They use it to assassinate. They used it to start a war. They sometimes even use it for genocide. What are you, a fucking moron? Did you even see the Star Wars films? What are you talking about? That magical penis sword is not necessarily good or evil. It has no meaning unto itself. Good. That's a cultural norm. Nice. What does that have to do with the storytelling? Now, I actually am generous. It's not easy to separate the two, cultural norms versus aesthetic norms, but technically speaking, they are still distinct. Logically, you've stated a cultural reason that I didn't like what happened to Luke in The Last Jedi. I may even agree with that. That's not an aesthetic reason. You got to give a reason within the fiction that it's bad. And the most I'm hearing is, oh no, I didn't get Luke with the magical penis sword that I wanted. That's not a logical reason. That's not even a reason at all. You're just stating a preference, what you want done with the character. Doesn't tell me it's a bad story. And also saying, I didn't get enough time with the character. I need more. Oh no, Rian Johnson's the worst thing. That makes no sense logically. If you're saying it's the worst film of all time, then clearly you got enough information about Luke to say that. You can't then say, oh no, I need more information. I can't believe this. That makes no sense. You had enough information to judge it the worst film of all time. So clearly you have enough information about Luke. The problem is it isn't going in your direction that you prefer. That's still stating a preference. You haven't given a reason. So far, stupid moron number one, who's a white man, says he doesn't like The Last Jedi because Luke is sad. And fucking EFAP moron number two, who is a woman, perhaps bisexual, thinks Last Jedi is bad because she didn't get her favorite Luke penis sword moments. So you stated the preferences you wanted for The Last Jedi. You haven't given any reasons. And I don't think you can ever come up with logical reasons, of course, but you should come up with some aesthetic reasons. Maybe the cinematography was bad. Maybe the music did not fit the scenes. Things like that. You didn't say anything like that. You just said, I got the Luke penis sword man that I wanted. Tough luck. Who the fuck cares? That's never relevant in these discussions. I wanted the Care Bears done a certain way. I wanted certain Care Bear stories done a certain way. It's irrelevant. We have to judge the story we have. Later on, we could say, it may be a better idea to do this, but you have to give us reasons why this story's bad. You provided zero reasons. You just provided, at best, very bad rationalizations based on your psychological and cultural norms and expectations. You haven't said anything about the story, so I have to judge you as a bunch of fucking morons who don't know what storytelling is and don't know how it really works. And that's where we are with the FAPO after years and years about whining about The Last Jedi.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys!